Hold on.
Hush, hush. Be quiet. Welcome back to Ideas at Work and Beyond. We really appreciate you coming back and joining us. And before I go any further, I have to give a shameless plug. The town of Ridgefield is celebrating its 300th anniversary. 300 years. And there's going to be a large parade on Saturday right down Main Street. That kicks off at about 10 o'clock. There's going to be a vintage baseball game with the throwback jerseys and everything else. There's a carnival, there's a fair, there's of course the fireworks tomorrow night at Tiger Hollow. And 300 years, can you imagine that? That's Sue Manning right there. She's the former first selectman of the town of Ridgefield. Boy, taxes were in line when she was in charge. Great Republican first selectman. But everyone is welcome. Come help Ridgefield celebrate, and there's events that go on all during the year. 300 years in Ridgefield. Okay, caller, we have a new caller that has a penetrating, brilliant question that he'd like to address. Caller, you're there. This is your big moment.
Oh, hi, Marty. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hi, Senator. Thanks for coming to the studio. We wish we'd see more of you these days in live call-in shows. Senator, do you believe in all new energy production, whether it be nuclear or new dams being built in the country, new natural gas, energy tax credit for people that buy these brand new lithium battery vehicles that are coming out? And one of them is called the Phoenix motor car, Marty. So I don't know why the Democrats are choking us. They're disallowing nuclear plants from being built. Are you aware, Senator, that they're drilling for oil in the Everglades, and they have been drilling for oil in the Everglades for 45 years? Are you aware that the Canadians have been drilling for oil in the Yukon, which borders the Anwar?
They're drinking our milkshake. For those of you that get out a lot and have seen the movie There Will Be Blood. Caller, thank you for that. Let me just ask that. What about that? You know, I think of the French. I always think they're so liberal and progressive and European. That country is wall-to-wall nuclear power plants, and it's fine. Over here, we can't build another nuclear power plant, let alone an oil refinery to generate gasoline. That's one of the big reasons the gas prices. We haven't built an oil refinery here in 35 years. You're going to go to Congress. You got to have some answers. What are you going to do?
Actually, I just a few days ago came out with my proposal, a comprehensive proposal to deal with the energy crisis. And it's funny, I don't often look to France for any of my ideas.
Absolutely
Usually
not.
we are very different.
Although Perrier is very good, and they do have some fine wine.
They do have some fine wine and good food.
But every decade, they need to be bailed out a couple times, so we have to go over there.
Well, they receive 85% of their energy from nuclear power, and they have the lowest electric rates in all of Europe. They do it cleanly, safe for the environment, safe for their people, and my question is, if they can do it, why can't we? We only get 20% of our power from nuclear. The issue of offshore drilling in particular, because my understanding is we can get to our sites the oil offshore quicker than anything else, which is where we should start.
Up in Alaska.
You're absolutely right.
Offshore of the northern portion of Alaska. All there are caribou up there, and there's tons of them, and they're thriving.
Sweden
that
and
oil
Norway
is low-hanging fruit.
Sweden and Norway are two countries that are absolutely environmentally friendly.
Absolutely.
They drill offshore. Why can't we? We haven't had a new refinery built in decades. We haven't had a new offshore oil rig built in decades. We haven't had a nuclear power plant built in decades.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but just a point that I tried to make in the opening monologue. There are 3,200 offshore drilling rigs offshore of Louisiana. We had a little blow down there called Katrina. Katrina blasted the 9th District of New Orleans. I've been down there. I've seen what it did. Not one drop of oil was spilled as a result, and it withstood a hurricane. Right now, as we speak, 60 miles off of Florida, they are drilling for oil. And who are they? They are the Chinese, with Fidel Castro from his hospital bed going drill, 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 and they're drinking our milkshake. For those of you that get out and watch that movie, There Will Be Blood. They're drinking our milkshake. They're drilling 60 miles off of Florida, and they are tapping into oil fields that are rightly the American resources. Now, we need some action in Congress, because the Pelosi's of the world and the Harry Reids of the world and the Kennedys of the world, in conjunction with all these environmental groups, which I support, are blocking exploration of these natural resources that are our birthright. These are American natural resources, and we're paying $100 when we go to fill up our tank, and something's got to give. Sorry.
No,
I get a little wound up.
You were absolutely right. And just last week or 2 weeks ago, Chris Murphy and the Democrats blocked any offshore drilling. Last year, a year ago from the 27th of June, they blocked drilling in oil shale out west. There's estimated to be 2.1 trillion gallons of oil there, 10 times the reserves of Saudi Arabia. Our president 2 months ago had to go beg Saudi Arabia for oil.
Beg? Do you see him? He walks hand in hand. What's up with that?
And he was turned down. I don't care if it's a Republican or Democrat, who the president is. Our president should never have to beg for oil. Chinese, obviously, are going to be, they're drilling, they're building nuclear power plants. We are the only country on the planet that is not utilizing our resources, our natural resources. And it's going to, it means we are getting disadvantaged regarding economic security in the long term and short term. There's personal financial security issues because people are paying more at the pumps, obviously. Home heating oil contracts just came due. Just wait till the fall. I know mine went from $3.10 a gallon to about $49 a gallon. I mean, it's incredible.
Senator, what I just saw, the statistics from Detroit came out about the auto industry. I mean, we are seeing 20 and 30% drops in the sales of autos year to year, and it's directly related to this gas crisis. Right. What you're paying at the pump is one thing. The residual effects of that are catastrophic. Right. And the fact of the matter is, and this goes to the question that we had from the call. He said, would you agree that the gas crisis is primarily based on speculation in the markets rather than supply and demand issues? And if the answer is no, please elaborate. And before, just to follow up on that question, what I understand is that Saudi Arabia is actually pumping oil into tankers, excuse me, and floating those tankers out into the Persian Gulf just to store the oil. They're pumping so much oil. So somewhere some speculators are coming in, if you can just address that.
The absolute underlying issue is supply and demand. There's not enough supply right now to fill the demand. But I will say, there are some issues that we can deal with, this Enron loophole with the speculators that I've been talking about since last, bless you, since last fall. I've been working with Gene Guilford with the ICPA, the local guys.
You talk very fast. Explain this Enron loophole and what is going on and why is it costing me $4 a gallon to fill my tank?
Because they're hedge funds, speculators, futures markets, people who are investing that have no stake in the oil game. They have no ownership whatsoever. So they're just betting on the future. There being more demand and less supply, and they're literally driving up the cost as we speak. But if we were going to start drilling for oil, and we knew the demand would be there, I mean, the supply would be there, that would in itself have an immediate impact on the futures markets. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what, and even Barack Obama is saying, hey, if we drill in Anwar, we're not going to see the first drop of oil for 5 years. Well, guess what, Senator Obama? If we even project that we're going to begin to drill in Anwar, that will have an immediate impact on the cost of gasoline that day because of the speculators.
Exactly.
You're tapping into huge new volumes of fuel, and it's going to have an effect immediately, not when the first drop of oil comes.
Not just on the speculators, but also on foreign nations that are supplying us with oil right now. You know, if you look at the countries that we work with, some of them are allies, some of them are not. This is also, taking to the next level, an issue of national security. We should never be in the position where other countries are literally controlling our oil and our main source of fuel. Now, by the way, with all this being said,
guys like we should Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, Nigeria, which isn't the most stable country in the world.
But we should, at the same time, be looking for alternative sources. We shouldn't just be putting a pot of money into one particular source, you know, hoping that's going to be the end-all, be-all, like ethanol, because the ethanol mandate's been driving up the cost of oil and also the gasoline and food. And Congressman Murphy still supports those mandates. But we should be looking at, you know, giving tax incentives to people who conserve and businesses, whoever comes up with an idea, like a vehicle that gets 75 miles a gallon, whether it's a hybrid or a gas engine, shouldn't matter. So.
All right. By the way, our largest supplier of foreign oil to us, the Canadians. And you got to love the Canadians, though. They're kind of like Americans. We love the Canadians. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello, Mr. Cappiello. How are you tonight?
Doing well. How are you?
I want to ask your views on NASA, whether you think they're spending money efficiently, and I just like you to get some views from you on NASA, and I'll hang up. And good luck, sir.
Thank you.
How about that?
That's a different question. And obviously I support the NASA program, but I can't give a complete answer as to whether they're spending every dollar as wisely as they have been, because frankly, I haven't been focused on that. On the state level, and even during the campaign, I'm so focused on the energy issues, the tax issues, illegal immigration, that I have not looked into that issue of NASA, but I'd be happy to look into it, and next time I'm on, we can talk about it.
I'm impressed with NASA. I think what they've been able to do by getting whatever that, like, rover, whatever they have on Mars, where they're actually digging, and I think they found what they think is ice on Mars. Because did you see the?
Yes, I did.
They fast read and it looked like it melted.
It's an impressive program, but I can't comment on as every dollar being spent wisely.
Okay.
I don't know.
You put your foot on the political third rail, it seems like, anyways. Although it's funny, the immigration issue seemed like a very hot topic maybe 2-3 months ago. That's how fast this political season is working. Now, it seems like by far the dominant issue is the cost of gasoline and the cost of fuel. But what is your stance on immigration? I know particularly in the 5th District, Mayor Bowden and Danbury has gotten national prominence on their relationship or potential relationship with ICE, their stance on immigration. On a federal level, where do you come down on that? Being a son of immigrants yourself.
Sure.
Where do you come down on all that?
But you have to distinguish between immigration and illegal immigration.
Okay.
It's a huge distinction.
Right.
I'm a big believer in the rule of law. Our country is based upon the rule of law. And I don't think that we should allow anyone to just flaunt that rule of law. And if we don't ask people who are here illegally to abide by our laws, then how do you ask someone who's here legally to abide by them? So that's the premise which I be in. I am a firm believer in securing the borders. They should have secured the borders decades ago, particularly when they passed the amnesty bill in 1986. They never followed through. And I will say that Congressman Murphy flew to the border using taxpayer dollars to see if we needed border security, had a big press conference there, but then voted to gut border security when he had the opportunity to a number of times.
So it was a big photo op.
Right.
But then when push came to shove, he voted against.
He voted to gut border security, yes. Wow. And I also do not believe in amnesty. I don't like the bill that was proposed a couple of years ago by the president and even our nominee, along with Ted Kennedy. I didn't like that bill because it gave someone the ability to jump ahead of the line. There are millions of people who are trying to become citizens legally throughout the world. We should not allow anyone who's here illegally to jump ahead of that line.
Let me just check you on that, because I guess sort of the patron saint of the conservatives in the United States is Ronald Reagan. Truth be told, Ronald Reagan gave a blanket amnesty to, I don't know, 2 million people that had filed
in the same bill where they were going to then secure the borders.
So you're talking about the Reagan?
Yes, that was in '86, to secure the borders so this wouldn't continue to be a problem. The problem is they never secured the borders. They never followed through on what was in that bill. Therefore, now we're up to 12 million.
Okay. Some have speculated that there's upwards of 20 million. But the point is, there is precedent for allowing blanket amnesty of some sort, a path to citizenship, if you will, a work permit, a green card, what have you. Not for convicted felons or anything like that, but there is precedent for that type of thing. Right now, I know it's not politically popular to talk about that, so you're running for Congress, and maybe that's the last thing you want to say. But I'm saying, my point is, I believe that we are a nation of immigrants. I believe that the immigrants that are here are providing needed services for our economy. When you look at the subprime mortgage problem, what's going to help build us out of this housing crisis that's costing all of us to see the value of our house go down is an increase in population. That increase in population isn't coming from people having babies, it's coming from immigration. So it needs to be controlled, but if you say, hey, no jumping to the head of the line, no amnesty, no path toward citizenship, everyone's going to get shipped back, that might sound good. We don't have enough boats. We don't have enough buses. We can't ship everyone out.
Actually, if you do it the way that I propose,
Okay, how do you propose it?
where over a period of 5 years, individuals have the chance to go back to their country, and frankly, a lot of people who are here right now, they do go back and come back.
I've actually noticed that.
Right.
As the economy has slowed some,
Right.
people do migrate back.
Go back and then reapply, one for citizenship if they wish, but also if you want to have them reapply or apply for a guest worker status, only where the Department of Labor says there's an area of need.
Right.
So they're not competing or taking away jobs from American citizens.
Okay.
But they have to pass a health screening
Right.
and also a criminal background check.
Absolutely.
So you can get rid of 2 million people who are here illegally.
And then you get biometric identification on these folks too, so we know who we're dealing with.
But I want to emphasize, it has to be started outside of the country, in their own country. And the issue of guest workers should only be where we are in need. I mean, there are some places out west where you have farms and agricultural areas where there is a need because they can't get American workers. I understand that.
Yeah.
But, I have contractors here right now who are suffering because they're following the rule of law. They're paying insurance benefits, workers' comp benefits, taxes on people who are here illegally, and someone who's hiring someone illegally. And they're avoiding all that. And they're undercutting the contractor who's following the law. That's simply unfair.
I agree.
It's unfair to an American citizen and unfair to a small business owner.
No, I agree. And I do see the impact. I have a office actually in Port Chester, New York, and there was a huge United hospital there, and it is shuttered. A gorgeous building, and it's closed, and that's because it was overrun by folks that are here that don't have health insurance.
Right.
And that's a crisis that has to happen.
And quickly, we actually have a guest worker program in a sense during the summer months where we have people who come from Europe who work in resorts.
Yeah.
And places like that.
J1 work visas.
It can work if done well,
Yeah.
but it has to be done where you're not taking away the jobs from American citizens.
Yeah.
Remember, our Constitution protects American citizens.
Yeah.
We have a rule of law in this country. We should follow the rule of law.
No, I agree. Okay, we have about a minute and a half left. You're running for Congress. Is this the most challenging thing you've ever done in your life, or is this kind of just another campaign?
3 years ago, with the birth of my son, being the dad for the first time, that was the most challenging thing. The lack of sleep. This stuff is a piece of cake compared to learning to be a new dad after 36 years of being either single or single with married, just the two of us. But it's also the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I have a 3-year-old now and a 1-year-old, and it was just the greatest things. They're the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, this show goes out to quite a few potential voters for you. How can they help? How can they get involved? What's your best shot?
The easiest thing to do is to either call the office at 203-885-1020. That's our headquarters, or go to www.davidcappiello.com to learn how you can help.
Okay. One last question.
Sure.
Bush tax cuts. If I send you to Washington, are you going to make those permanent?
I've already said those tax cuts, the 2001 and 2003 tax cuts, need to be permanent.
Okay.
If not, it's not simply going to tax the rich. Folks who are senior citizens, middle-income folks, parents get really, really taxed if those are not reinstated. I'm telling you, people will be hurt, and so will the economy.
All right. Well, listen, thank you very much. Really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
And by the way, your candidate, Mr. Murphy, this is an open invitation to come join us at this table as well, and we'd love to have you. I'd actually like to, before the end of this campaign, have both of you. We'll have a little sit-down debate if you're open to it.
I'm happy to.
These are public airwaves, and Mr. Murphy, we'd love to have you join us and love to have you come in. Again, appreciate State Senator David Cappiello. He's running for the 5th United States Congressional District. He's raised over $1.1 million. He has the support of many loving people in this community, and I wish you good luck. I appreciate just discussing some of these issues, and I wish you all the luck in the world. Thanks again for coming in. And by the way, next week on Ideas at Work and Beyond, we are going to have John Hartwell. John Hartwell is running for the state senate. Following that, we're going to have John Fry, and then there'll be a big sit-down debate between Tony Boucher and John Hartwell. It's almost like professional wrestling, really. We got a real Hulk Hogan in one corner and the Mask in another. Thanks again for joining us, and please come back and watch Ideas at Work and Beyond. Thank you.